Are you ready to learn? Because my super experienced guests are ready to share some really valuable information. Make sure and listen all the way to the end to get help and support. So let's start with the best audio experience.
What's up, guys? Welcome to our show. Today we discuss about digital assets, how you can control and handle them. I'm so excited to discuss this topic with Mellen. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, big pleasure. I want to learn more about that because I know the last time it's hard to control everything, especially when platforms and big companies have their mind. Before we start, just tell more about yourself, experience, background, and why you decided to share with us about this topic.
Sure. So I started my digital web agency. We're in Atlanta, Georgia. Started about 13 years ago with a partner of mine, Allie Green. Mickey Mellen. Our company is Green Mellen. I do a lot of websites and digital marketing for folks, and yeah, big believers in finding ways to help people control their assets. WordPress is kind of the platform we use, and we'll get into that a little bit more. Largely because you can control it more than you can a lot of other platforms. Yeah. It puts you in a better situation going forward and can work out great. So we're a team of 8, and yeah, love doing what we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice. Can you tell where to start? For example, if I'm going to control my digital assets, I can't control all of them, but I can maximize this effort. I don't know, like, to let me know how to start, and for our audience, what to do first.
Sure. So really, I think the website is the hub of what we do. If you're doing any digital marketing, if you're doing social media or email or paid ads, it all goes back to your website. So controlling your website's the first thing. And for us, that means not using a service like Squarespace or Wix or any of those, which are fantastic services. The problem is you're on their server and you have to play by their rules. And if they change their mind, you're done. Like, you can't export it and move somewhere else. You can't stop them. Whereas with WordPress and others, there's Joomla and Drupal and others that work with, WordPress being the most popular. You have it. It's your site. You control it. And if the host decides they don't like you anymore, you've broken the rules, or they thought you broke the rules or whatever, you can just move to another host and be back up and running in minutes with your site exactly as it was before, because you own it, you control it, you can save it to your computer, like you can hold it in your hand. Whereas with so many other platforms, you can't. You're on their server, you play by their rules, and it works generally pretty well. I know a lot of folks on Squarespace, nothing against them, but again, if they decide that you broke the rules or they go out of business or whatever, you're starting from scratch. Whereas again, with WordPress, you can move it to a different host, to a different server, and do things to keep it running very easily.
Yeah, I love WordPress because of open code, because of a bunch of plugins that we can use. So you don't need to create your own CMS, just use what we have. And yeah, it's because of this mobility, many things are coming on WordPress. First, for example, if you wanna use some special features, buttons, yeah, on WordPress, it's great. What about the rest? You mentioned that Wix, Shopify, many others, they controlled by big companies. These companies, they have own advantages, and the biggest problem with WordPress, I see, it's some companies have no resources to hire a team of web developers, designers. That's why they use Wix and Shopify, many other platforms. Can you tell how to choose the right one? For example, do I need to use WordPress or any others? What kind of advantages by using WordPress? And I'm asking about that because I know from personal experience it's hard to find great web developers. As anybody else, copywriters, designers, yeah, it's hard, but you can. But if you have limited resources, do we need to consider Wix, Shopify, and any other platforms?
I think so, yeah. I think they're worth considering if you're just getting started and have a small budget, because WordPress, even if you find a template and kind of build from a theme, you still have to know some technical stuff and get in there and manage the plugins. There's stuff to do to make it work that some people just don't have the budget or skills to do. And so Shopify or Squarespace or Wix could be a good solution. But as you grow, as you become a more legit company and hire some employees and become bigger, you need to start taking steps to protect yourself. And I think we see this through different things. Like right now, we're in the midst of Twitter is seemingly melting down with Elon Musk and a lot of people moving to Mastodon. But Mastodon is more complex to set up. You own it more, you control it more, but it's not as easy to get into. You have to pay the price to do more work versus Twitter. You can just sign up and go, but you're at their whims of what happens. So same kind of thing with websites where you can sign up for Squarespace right now and get going. It'll probably be fine. WordPress is going to take more work, but it's going to leave you in a better place going forward.
Yeah, by the way, about Elon Musk, I think all platforms, including Google, LinkedIn, Facebook, can change, update
For
their
sure.
algorithms to change anything. But Elon Musk, yeah, I think he's moving so fast,
It's crazy how fast he's moving right now. Yes, for sure.
So for example, I love to change something, to update, to innovate, but when you do it from the first day to lay out a lot of I don't
Yeah,
know.
that was a
See,
little crazy.
I don't know. He's so great with creating awesome businesses, so we'll see. Okay, what do you think about social media? Okay, if we can't control it, but it's important to have them. It's important to communicate with customers on social media. For example, 95% of customers, they usually check out social media
Hmm.
profiles,
For sure.
account. It helps with the parameter EAT, expertise, authority, trust,
Yep.
because people can check out about your business, you're legitimate or not. So how to control social media?
Yeah, you can't control it as much as we just talked about. If you're on Twitter, you're on their platform. Same with Facebook. I like to go. I've heard the concept of posse before. POSSE. Publish on your own site and syndicate elsewhere. So that's what I try to do. To the extent possible, I blog on my own site. I write my content on my own site and then share it on Twitter and share it on Facebook and share it on Mastodon and share it wherever I want to share it. But ultimately, it's my content I control. And if Twitter goes away, I'll hate losing all those connections and stuff, but all my content I'll still have. Versus if you publish just on LinkedIn or just on Twitter and they go away, all that content's gone. And I really like when others do that too. Seth Godin is one I follow quite a bit. You're probably familiar with, and he publishes on his blog daily. And it's great because I can reference posts he wrote 15 years ago. Because I can just go to his blog, pull up the post, say, hey, Seth said this great thing here, and link to it. But if he had said that on Twitter 15 years ago, you can't find that. Like, it's buried so far down, it's long gone. So if you can publish on your own site and have that master copy in something you control, and then share on Twitter, share on Facebook, whatever, that's a fantastic way to own it. But like you said, conversations are important too with customers on those social platforms. And that's just the price you pay. I mean, those conversations, if things disappear, they will disappear. But at least you had that interaction and got it done.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I agree with that. I know Seth Godin can post a lot, but he has
You can.
his name, he deserves his name, authority. But it's better for me, to repurpose content, as you mentioned. For example, you can post on your website, but repurpose everywhere. By the way, I know that it's important to repurpose. Let me clarify more about that because in 2020 I decided to grow my social media accounts. I posted on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, everywhere. Probably I ignored just Snapchat and some other Pinterest. But it's interesting that I tried to grow everywhere, and the best results that I got were like 5 followers a day, 100 views, not more. Then I switch all my attention to LinkedIn to grow audience there, and even without repurposing content, I paid more attention to LinkedIn users, LinkedIn algorithms, and could grow my audience because of paying attention to one specific platform. So you can do it on your website as well, but it's important to consider SEO. Can you tell how to consider SEO and your asset website? Because even if I post the best content in the world, Seth Godin has name. He deserved this name because of publishing a lot of great books, awesome books. I know many of them. I read them, but it's important to, even if you create the best possible content, you need to invite the audience to consume your content. Can you tell more about digital marketing, how to invite this audience?
Yeah, like you said, repurposing is a big key to that because the more you can get it out there, the more people see it. Google will see some of those signals and help you rank better. And ultimately, what's going to rank is not your social posts too much. It's really the content on your site. And links from social don't help. But going back to my Seth Godin example, the fact that he wrote that post years ago and I wrote about it on my blog and I linked to him, that link from my blog is very valuable to help him rank better versus links from social. So, I mean, SEO is a big piece of having your own content, having that source of where things come from. And then, like you said, repurposing can be good, but the more you can focus is even better. We see that a lot on LinkedIn, especially where if you're out commenting on other people's posts, your own posts tend to get more exposure then too. So if you can really invest in a platform, versus just publishing everywhere and walking away, you're certainly going to see better results from that too.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, I want to ask you about your background website development. Can you tell, for example, I have a big issue with many customers who can't fix a lot of technical errors. According to a few famous tweets, webmasters usually implement 40% of all recommendations from SEO specialists. They can't implement all of them, including on WordPress. It's hard, but sometimes we don't need it because we have some critical errors that it's better to fix. Can you tell how to find these critical errors? For example, I know that for me it's more important to increase website speed like Amazon has, but I have no resources like Amazon.
Right.
So your tips about that, how to find critical errors in website development.
Yeah, it's important to figure out what a critical error is. You hear speed talked about a lot, but Google's official word is that speed is, quote, a teeny tiny ranking factor. Like they say, it does not matter much. If it's super slow, that's a problem. But if it's marginally fast, Google says that's not a big ranking signal. Now, granted, users will matter more. They'll appreciate every little bit of speed. It does help, but Google doesn't have that effect very much. And I think in most cases, people overthink SEO. I mean, SEO is really about getting links to your site and generating great, unique content. People spend so much time fiddling around with Yoast settings and metadata. There's so much you can do, which does help, but they forget about just writing more good content is so overlooked anymore, I think. And really, Google, for as often as Google tweaks their algorithm, they've not really changed the rules much in 25 years. They've been around since 1998. They've really changed 2 rules that whole time. They've, since then, they always said you should have good content, you should have solid content, have legitimate links. None of that's changed. They said, now you have to be mobile friendly, of course. That's come up in the last 25 years. You have to have SSL on your site. Everything else is just them just enforcing the rules better. Every algorithm update, people say, oh, Google's changing the rules. And they're not changing the rules. They're just better at stopping spammers. Like the things that you could get away with before, they're learning to fix all those things and just rewarding good content better and better and better over time. And I think that'll get real interesting as AI starts taking off and you have unique content that's generated, by AIs. But we'll see. That's a whole different conversation that I'm not really adequate to speak on at this point. But yeah, content is certainly king.
Yeah, Gerald agrees with you. And
saw
I have some speakers on my podcast, and they shared with me they ignore link building, many other SEO methods just to create high quality content, the best high quality content. And some of them get like a million traffic a lot because of paying attention to their strong side. And I check out their content. I found that their content deserves links naturally, so they don't need to have link building. If you get these backlinks that Google loves, by the way. Can you tell about creating this high quality content? Okay, content is king, but how to create it? Because quality is subjective. We have no special metric. It's 100% quality. How do I know, or any webmasters know that this content is good one to get ranking positions?
Yeah, there's 2 sides to that, really. There's writing good content for Google and then good content for your users. And so we've all seen sites that rank well in Google. When you go to the site, it's just spaghetti. They repeat the keyword 20 times. It's just chaos. Like, I don't understand why ranking well for that matters, because all the people disappear as soon as they read it because you sound like an idiot. But so I think it's finding that balance between the right keywords and getting that mixed in, but also still writing for humans and ultimately getting that. Again, to go back to that Seth Godin example one more time, me linking to his site had nothing to do with the keywords he used. It was because he wrote good content I thought was worth sharing. And so content worth sharing, like you've talked about, people will share that. You get the links naturally, and that can help. But on the other hand, we also do keyword research for clients to help find the right ways to word things that'll matter. Sometimes just changing a word can make a big difference because people search for that a whole lot more than, they might search for home builders a whole lot more than house builders. Or just changing one word can make a big difference. So some keyword research just to figure out the words you should use can help a lot. And then again, it comes back to, do humans think it's good content, and that'll help drive it as much as anything.
By the way, I think Seth Godin doesn't consider SEO because
correct, he doesn't. No, I don't think.
He has name, and I know some, not some, a lot of YouTubers, they don't consider YouTube search like PewDiePie, Mr. Beast, because they, when you have this loyal audience, big audience, you don't need to consider an SEO because your name can work well. So you don't need to pay attention to keyword research. But can you tell for someone who needs keyword research how to find the right keywords? Because, for example, I see when companies use generic keywords. For example, they open some famous tools like SEMrush, Ahrefs, find high volume keywords, and then compete with Wikipedia, many other websites. But it's hard to sell anything with these keywords. It's hard even to get this ranking position. It doesn't mean that you will sell. You need to rank first when many great websites are in the top 10. Can you tell how to choose the right keywords in your strategy?
Sure. So for us, we use Moz. We use their tool. I mean, there's, like you mentioned, some other ones, Ahrefs, and there's lots of great ones out there. But one thing Moz does, and most of them do, tells us about the competition too. So we'll run keyword reports and say, hey, these keywords get a ton of searches, but they're super competitive. It's not worth our effort to try to go after them. But here's some others that get a decent amount of traffic, but they're easy to win. So let's go win this one that gets 100 clicks a month versus lose for the one that gets 10,000 clicks a month, because it does no good to be on page 77 for that one. If we can win a smaller one, it's better. So if we can find a half a dozen, maybe 10 or 12 keywords that'll get us 100 clicks a month that we can win, suddenly you got a couple thousand visits a month off these smaller, longer tail keywords, and it can work very well for you.
Yeah.
We do it.
By the way, I like most because of this metric priority. You know, when you most can choose priorities according to keyword research, so you don't need to take all these keywords. By the way, it's a good metric. I see when masters take a lot of keywords, but have limited resources. If I have a team like 100 copywriters who can write about many topics, yeah, probably I can take all of them. But when resources are limited, you can't create a lot of content at scale. Can you tell about creating less but quality? For example, Seth Godin can write every single day, and I know why. Because once I read a book from Jack London. This book was written like 100 years ago, a lot, and it's called Martin Eden, about the guy who wrote every single day a lot of words. That was consistency, you know, to write, to improve the quality of writing. And many great authors usually write every single day, because Seth Godin is going to sell books. You know, I think the main channel of selling books and not SEO. But for SEO, we need less but quality. Can you tell what do you understand about creating less but quality content?
Yeah, that can be tricky. Seth Godin's told the story of making pots before, like where it was a class that had two groups of students. Said, all right, this side, I want you to make one pot and make the best pot you can. And the other side, make as many as you possibly can. And after a few weeks of doing this, the ones that made many were making way better pots than the one that were just focusing on doing the one single best one they can, because the repetition, they got better at it, they learn. And I think the same can be true of writing. I mean, writing every day makes you a better writer. It gets you better at seeing the world around you, that sort of thing. But like you said, you don't also, for SEO, pumping out stuff every day is not necessarily the best way to go. You know, my blog I write every day, but it's not SEO focused either. Whereas our agency blog, we write a couple times a month, and those are longer, more in-depth posts. And so I think quality for that, for SEO, I mean, length, I think, is a factor. It's not a huge factor, but a lot of Seth's posts, a lot of my posts are just too short to really rank well. But when I'm posting, I'm just trying to get a message out. And if it only takes 3 sentences to say, it's only going to say 3 sentences. But if you want to rank well in Google, you kind of got to flower it out a bit more and just take the time to do it right. So, yeah, I mean, you mentioned also it can be hard to write enough content. If you find a bunch of keywords you want, it can be difficult to write all those. But for our clients, we say, hey, let's just start with these few here. And then as we write a post every month, we'll slowly chip away at the rest. And it can last us a couple years worth of content, you know, to keep it just consistent versus trying to do a whole bunch at once and letting it fall. And so in that case, we have a whole list of stuff to write for the next 2 years. Fantastic. We don't have to do keyword research again. We have stuff to go. We know what we're writing, and just slowly keep dripping it out and building up a little more and a little more as time goes on.
Yeah. By the way, you know, I use the same approach, but I usually post content on LinkedIn. So I can write articles, post on LinkedIn. I'm not going to rank them. And I found that consistency can help increase quality, as you mentioned. And Seth Godin can write every single day. Many great sportsmen usually train 2-3 times a day. Great showmen can improve their skills every single day. That's, you know, if you wanna become great, you need to be consistent, because if you pass a few days, you can get back with your quality as well. And that's why I love social media. I can post some content, and most content are dying for a few hours, a few days maximum, and but you can improve your quality of writing. I usually recommend even to do it for a video content. You can film every single day, just film content. It doesn't mean that you need to submit all this content on YouTube. Just submit on Facebook, on Twitter, anywhere. Even don't submit, just leave on your phone, So yeah, but for the sake of getting experience and confidence, if you do it, you can improve the quality. It's the number of game. And you mentioned that you have no goal to get SEO traffic for your blog, but you do for your clients. Can you tell what is the main goal of your blog? Do you have your loyal audience? How do you promote your blog? And more insights about that.
Sure. So my blog is mostly for me. Seth has always said people should blog every day, and I believe that too. I do it just to make me smarter, make me unpack things and see things in the world around me. I compare it to photographers if they go on a photo walk. If you have a photographer on a photo walk, he has the camera, they're looking for things to take photos of. If you blog every day, you start seeing the world around you as like, what can I write about? What insights do I gain? And by blogging instead of journaling, I mean, I think people that journal every day, that's fantastic. Journaling is great, but you're able to sort of get away with just writing some thoughts down and moving away. If I'm going to publish it for people to see, I need to clarify my thoughts, pull in a quote, really think through it more. And the main idea of my blog is to help me think and to become smarter, hopefully, and understand things better and get better at marketing and see better tools, but really unpack and clarify thoughts. And if people want to follow it, cool. If they don't, that's fine too. I share it across social platforms, and some get popular and some don't. And I don't really care about that. But again, for our agency and for our clients, that's kind of a different story where we want to make sure it's good content that benefits them specifically, and it's usually more SEO friendly, a little longer, more written for Google and for the end user versus mine, which is written for me to share my thoughts and sharpen my own thinking, and hopefully other people gain from that. But I'm not real concerned if they do or not.
Yeah, I love it. Let me tell you why I love it. For example, once Bill Gates shared how he reads books. He makes notes. When he finds something, he makes notes. And if I read something and don't make notes, if I ignore them, I can forget for a few hours about these insights. But when you write, it's the way to memorize new skills. It's the way to stick in your mind, and then if it helps to someone else, to your audience, why not? So you can kill two birds with one stone, to post on your blog and memorize all new skills, and even it's more like hobby, like people can watch TV 6 hours a day, or I can play ping pong, I can play basketball, and I'm not waiting when someone will pay money or tell me, oh, you're great, with that. No, I'm not, but I love it. I enjoy the process. So if you enjoy the process of writing, why not? Yeah, that's great.
And it does two other things for me too. One is, if I publish, a lot of times I'll say, I saw this great quote and here's what I think. And people will reply on the blog and say, I disagree. Here's what I think he meant. And that's great. I love people that disagree with my thoughts, because it makes me think, all right, this is a smart person that disagrees. Maybe I should change my thinking on that too. And it helps me revise things further. And then you mentioned books too. Blogging every day, it gets tough sometimes to come up with enough content. And usually if I'm low on content, it's not reading enough. So I have books around me. And so I know, like right now, I've only got 3 or 4 posts ready to go. And I like to have more than that. So that means I'm not reading enough. So it kind of forces me to read more and to be able to write more. So it's a good practice just for building up, on my own. And it helps too that I have an agency that's been around long enough. I have other people doing a lot of the grinding work, so I'm not having to do that. So I have a little more time. That's why I think Seth Godin's even better. This is all he does is write. So I wonder how he can write all these books and do all these podcasts, but that's all he does. And so that'd be a neat place to be. I'm not nearly there yet, but I'm at least a couple steps toward it, which is kind of nice,
Nice. Mickey, can you tell about your agency? What kind of unique selling proposition you have compared to many other competitors, and your strong side? Just share more about insights about your agency.
Sure. So our agency is mostly B2B focused. We work with companies that work with other companies. We're big on storytelling. We spend the first month of an engagement just doing messaging strategy, kind of loosely based on the story brand principle, which I'm sure you've seen before, Don Miller stuff, just making sure we tell the story the right way. So we're talking to our clients' clients. You know, we never want our client site to be about them at all. It's about the people they serve. You know, Rory Vaden wrote Take the Stairs. He had a great quote I love that says, "You're most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were." So we try to get our clients to say, hey, who did you used to be? Why did you start this company? Now let's share that story to the people you want to serve and help them do that. Then the other side of this kind of comes back to our topic for the discussion today about owning your assets. You know, we build on WordPress, but we build, you know, off the Genesis framework, a good sturdy framework. We let clients host it on their own server. Like, we make sure they own every piece of it, where they can own it on their hosting, they own the domain. We'll still help and serve them as long as we can, but we don't put our name in the footer and try to, you know, steal a little bit of SEO juice from that. Like, we do everything we can to help our clients in ways that other agencies often don't do. You know, I would love to host all our clients' websites because it would make more money, but it's not in their best interest. I want them to pay for the hosting so they control it. They have full ownership of it, and they can leave whenever they want. And then we have to work that much harder to make sure they don't leave. So yeah, I think really taking the time to get that messaging up front is kind of the big piece that we ignored for too long. We've been doing it more for the last, 4 or 5 years. That's a huge part to really tell the story the right way, in a way that resonates. And then, yeah, just everything we do to build beautiful custom sites in a way that they can own and control and keep up with their own digital assets.
Yeah. You know, I love how big brands can share stories. For example, I remember when Tim Cook, when he shared 3 stories about new Apple Watch. After that, I bought 3 pairs because I can't buy just one. I need to buy for my son, for my wife. You know, they probably kill me if I ignore them. So, but you know, I bought 3 pairs, and Tim Cook didn't share about awesome features. He didn't share about many other benefits. He shared 3 stories how Apple Watch can help you, how you can this watch can decide your problem, simplify your life. And after that, I got it. I need to buy it.
Apple's the king of that. They do fantastic with that kind of storytelling. You even have to look when they announce something. The first thing is, well, how much memory does it have? Because they didn't even mention how much memory it has. You got to go look and see, because they're all about what it can do for your life, and they're the kings of that for sure.
Yeah. By the way, Gerald wrote about storytelling as well in the comments. Can you tell how to craft this story from your experience? How to do it? Because you know, many stories are boring. You know, I can't criticize them. Probably they have their audience. But for example, I love reading books, but I found that many business books are good for sleeping. You know, when you have the problems with sleep, you can take this book, read a little bit, and sleep the whole night. Don't remember anything from this book, but yeah, because it's boring written. Can you tell how to craft the story that's interesting to read?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the stories we tell on websites are pretty short. Writing a long, compelling book is a whole different conversation. Actually, one member of our team just wrote a book called The Story Cycle, storycyclebook.com, that talks about storytelling at a bigger level. But for websites, we just try to really get to what the problem is. And what is the problem your clients face? I mean, that's what we think websites should lead with. It should be, here's the problem you have. And people say, that is the problem I have. They understand me. And then, like, here's the solution we have. Here's how you get started. And so it's getting, again, to that deeper level to find out the problems their customers face and just admit it. Here's the problem you have, and kind of bring them in. And here's the way we can fix it, and kind of walk through the story of your life is like this now, but we've been there. We know how to fix it. And here's how great your life will be after you work with us. And kind of just telling that simple story can make a big difference. You know, we worked with a heating and air company lately, and they told, you know, stories on there of like, you're tired of technicians not showing up when they say they will. We're on time, or you get a refund. And, you know, they kind of tell the story of, hey, this is the problem. I know my HVAC guy is always running late, but these guys say they'll be on time. They've proved it. And, you know, just the little mini stories I think on websites are important. Telling a full novel story is a whole different animal that I'm not well equipped for. I'm out blog posts and doing it that way.
Okay, got it.
If I ever publish a book, it'll probably be a lot like Seth Godin's most recent one, The Practice, where he had like 200 chapters that were each like a page long. It was basically repurposing that. Like, I can write that style. It's to be able to write the big, long, sometimes too long books that I can't get in the head of there. And I agree, some of those get awfully sleepy to try to read. I use have you ever heard of Blinkist, the tool Blinkist? It's a fantastic tool. They have a monthly fee, I think, but it gives you business books and stuff, but condensed into 20-minute formats. And I use Blinkist a ton. It's fantastic. Most business books I'll read via Blinkist. If they're really good, I might read the full one, but most of the time, 20 minutes, I understand what they're trying to say, and I can move on to the next one. It's a great way to avoid falling asleep trying to read all those. So it works well.
Yeah. I have Amazon Kindle and a few plugins Libby, Audible, some of them. So yeah,
Yep.
many other stuff. Okay, you mentioned that your agency is focused to B2B. Can you tell the main difference between helping B2B customers and B2C? How to consider B2B customers? I don't know, because these customers need to sell to other companies. Your insights about that?
Yeah, it's just a different kind of approach and one we're more comfortable with. If you're a B2C firm, you need to be great, just the more razzle dazzle and be on TikTok and all those places. And that's just not what we are. We're more subdued. I mean, we're going to be on LinkedIn and do great there and do SEO and just kind of things that matter more for business kind of traffic. Consumer traffic is a different animal. And I know some agencies that do a fantastic job with it. It's just a whole different approach and not one that we're really interested in going down, just because it takes a different kind of work. It takes more quick reactions to adjust to the market and stuff. B2B is just more about doing best practices over and over and really hitting it long term. And that's where we have our sweet spot. We can really get in a good rhythm with businesses and kind of move things forward. Whereas B2C, you got to be more reactive and, catching things, which again, I know there's companies that do a great job of that. It's just, not a direction we care to go to.
I cooperate with a lot of B2B customers, and I found one interesting thing that in the end you cooperate with human being, not with company.
Correct.
So
yes.
yeah, and you can satisfy a human being who can transfer data to stakeholders, and then you can go ahead. Can you tell how to tell your customers about something is important to implement? Because 40% of recommendations are only implemented, 60% ignored a lot. So tell how to transfer data in the right way, that companies can understand. So it's important to do it, and just to give them a solid reason to go ahead without finding excuses why they can't, ignoring this. Any insights about that?
I think that is really about the why. Like, why are we asking you to do this? If we can tell really a good story about that, that helps a lot. Right now, a lot of us, probably a lot of your listeners, are worried about the transition to Google Analytics 4 next summer. Universal's going away, so we're telling our clients we need to get switched out to this and start building reports on that. And if we say it's because you won't be able to track your traffic anymore, it's one thing to say we should do this, but if we say, hey, here's how you're going to have to do this next summer, let's start tracking it now. If we wait till next summer, you're only going to have a month's worth of data. So we're going to start tracking it now so we can give you month-over-month reports and really see how things are going. And if we can explain the reasoning behind things, that can help. And also, it helps if we explain the reasoning behind things. They say, I understand that. I still don't want to do it. Then cool. They understand the consequences of not doing that and what it's going to hurt. They don't want to spend the time or the money. And sometimes that can make sense to not worry about, being there. I talked to a client this morning that wanted to maybe be on Facebook. Their business isn't on Facebook. And I said, okay, but here's what that means. It means you need to be on there. You need to be active. You need to respond to comments. And, are you willing to do that work to be on there? And they said, well, maybe not. Maybe we just, they thought they should be on Facebook, which is probably true. Most businesses should, but that comes with a bunch of work, and you have to get what that means. I mean, if you want to do that, there's consequences to it, and you got to be willing to put in the work. And so I think in their case, they're going to say, no, we're not going to be on Facebook, which I think they should, but I agree that they don't have the time to do it right. So let's not do it at all. So I think the why can help either convince them to do something or give them the ammo to properly convince us that they don't need to. And that's fine too.
Yeah, I agree. Doing something for the sake of having it because your competitors are doing this.
Bingo.
It's not good deal. Yeah, it's better to avoid. And for example, many competitors are great on YouTube, but if you can't film great videos, why you need to do it if it's not your strong side? Right? Just write exactly. Or anything. Find your strong side. And I think people will worry about GA4 in the last day in summer. Not right now.
Right.
When they have no another choice, so or do it or have no any data.
Right. And there's consequences to that because you won't be able to compare historical data with it, for a while. So it matters. But yeah, I think this comes to blogging. As you know, I'm a big proponent of blogging, both personally and for business. But if a business says we're not going to be able to do it regularly, then don't do it at all. Because we all see sites that you go to. It's like, check out our blog. And the last post was from 2018. Like, are they even in business? Like, what? It just looks horrible to do it poorly. So I'd rather someone could do something right versus not do it at all. And just if they can't do it right, then spend the time and energy and money somewhere else that you can build even deeper there.
Yeah, nice. Mickey, I have the question about common mistakes. Can you list common mistakes that B2B companies still do and your tips how to find a much better way?
I think the biggest mistake I see, well, one, there's one technical mistake I still see a lot of is in WordPress, there's the little checkbox that says, do not let search engines index my site. And I still see this happen a lot where people leave that check. That's a brutal mistake, but a small one. But realistically, the problem most businesses face, I think, is just talking about themselves too much. You come to say, we were formed in 1982 and we do this and we do this. And like, it's not about you here. Put that on the about page maybe, but tell your customers, hey, here's the problem you have. Here's how we can help. You talk more to the customer than about yourself. And I think most businesses, or at least too many, talk all about themselves and how we're this and we're that. And we've been around this long and we have this expertise, but no, here's the problem you have and we can help you solve it. Just get to the heart of why someone comes to your site realistically and help answer that versus just using it as a platform to talk about yourself. And I think if we can get them in the right frame of mind for that, that helps a lot. A common gripe among graphic designers is the client always wants the logo bigger. They always say, make the logo bigger. It's kind of the joke. But if a client realizes it's not about them, it's about their client, how does making the logo bigger help your end user appreciate your service more? And the answer is, well, I guess it wouldn't. We just want it bigger because we paid a lot of money for it. And that's not the right reason. Why would your customer care? And that can get to the right answer a lot of times that way.
Yeah. Awesome. I have the question about, let's imagine you started from scratch without any experience, knowledge, skills, completely from scratch. What will you do today to learn more about SEO, digital marketing, and helping B2B customers?
So one is just go to start doing it yourself. I mean, we've learned the most about development for more complex things as we have a problem. We say, hey, we told this client we're going to do this thing. How do we build it? Let's go figure out how to build it. And so I would say if you're just getting started, go learn how to install a self-hosted WordPress site. They say it's a 5-minute install, which it is once you're used to it. It's probably an hour the first time once you set up hosting. You'll learn a lot through that process and how to do that. And then you say, okay, I want to rank better for SEO. Let me go read some stuff from Marketing School, from Moz, there's lots of great blogs. Moz has their Whiteboard Friday videos they do, and there's tons of free resources. Go watch YouTube. Just as you think of things you want to do, go do them and research appropriately to make it happen. So I think doing is somewhat underrated. I mean, if you just get out there and start doing it, start writing. You mentioned, you post a lot on social and some hit and some don't. And the best people on social media learn what hits and makes more out of that. I mean, you mentioned Mr. Beast. He has quite the formula now for videos. He says, if I do a video that's this long, has these components, it's going to get 50 million views because he's done thousands of videos to learn what works and he's measured the results and see what happens. So same kind of thing. If you want to do well in SEO, read about it, learn what you're doing, and then start trying it. Say, I thought this post would be great and Google hates it. Why? Let's unpack why. And this one did great. Why did it do great? And just kind of learning from trial and errors is, I think, the best way to learn in a lot of cases. And then with the glut of content, you can find thousands of hours on any topic you want, and just listening to podcasts like this and finding YouTube videos and tutorials and lots of great ways to learn to answer the questions you need to go on to the next step.
Yeah, awesome. I couldn't agree more with that because I remember once one listener asked me if I listen to all your episodes, can I be a great marketer? I replied to him, not. You can't because you don't need to listen all podcast episodes to become a great marketer. You need to do this. You need to find a few episodes with insights that you are going to implement, learn ideas, and then implement, execute. Because, for example, if I read 100 books how to play basketball, I never can beat Shaquille O'Neal or any other great basketball players. If I read 1,000 books how to play soccer, Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo will destroy me in the field because they prefer to hit the ball 100 times, 1,000 times than to learn how to hit the ball. So, I agree with that. It's better to implement, execute, to analyze, to test, fail. You can fail a lot, For me, failing is the part of the process. When you failing only brings a new experience. Yeah. When you fail, you can find something that actually works. And I made a lot of mistakes, but I found that I couldn't find much better way without these failures. So I fail and got it. Okay, it's my way. I'll go this way. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Mickey, I have the final question about the future of web development. Many things are coming, and I know I found on your LinkedIn profile that you're technology enthusiast. Can you tell about what kind of techs are coming and how to consider them, how to adapt today to new things that will come. What do you think about new environment like virtual reality, augmented reality, metaverse, anything about that?
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a big, wide question there. I think for me, one of the places I start is WordPress. Like, is WordPress the place to be? And I think generally speaking, yes, because it's still 43% of the market, but it actually lost market share for the first time ever last quarter. So maybe it's starting to dwindle. I think it's still going to be the top choice for the next decade just because it has such a huge lead. But what's next? Start paying attention to the Ghost and, even some of the platforms like Squarespace to see if they're going to be the place to be. That's a big one. AI is, of course, a big one. We're seeing a lot of that with GPT-3 and some of the AI writing services. And Google's struggling. They're putting out some statements about when you're allowed to use AI written stuff and when you can't. But at some point, they won't be able to tell. Like, they won't know if it's written well enough, what it is. Tools like Notion, for note taking are building in some AI features to help your notes get better. And I think that's going to go to web a lot. I think stock imagery is going to be interesting with DALL-E and some of the AI image generators. Like, if I need a stock image of 4 people at a whiteboard with a triangle on the screen, I can type that in and have a stock image for it just created instantly. That's perfect. So that'll be interesting there. And then metaverse, we had a big conversation about that at an event I was at yesterday. And of course, no one knows. I think the thing to see what'll happen is if right now people say the metaverse and they think of Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg building the metaverse. And I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping the metaverse is more like the web where any company can spin up their own instance of whatever it is and connect them that way. So we could have the green Mellen metaverse. You come to ours in virtual reality, you can see our websites and whatever, but then you click off and go to yours to listen to episodes and go, I'm hoping it's more democratic like that and not everyone pay a bunch of money to join, get property on Facebook's, but no one knows for sure. I don't see Facebook winning this one. They're trying their best to, but I think it's going to be more organic over the next decade. I think they're kind of like Google Stadia was. Google Stadia, the streaming video game service, was fantastic. It was amazing, but people just didn't quite get it yet. And the real winner is going to be Sony or Microsoft or one of those. I think Metaverse is going to be like that too. Facebook's first, and they're doing a good job. I kind of hope it fails, though, it becomes more of an organic build over time. But it's so hard to say what will happen there. But for us, we're mainly looking at just what's happening with messaging, what's happening with SEO, what's happening with WordPress in general, and like where should we be putting our efforts today. And I think that's not going to change too much in the future. And then the one other point, I've heard Gary Vee talk about this a lot, is with social media, the trend there seems to be shifting from getting followers to just producing good content. And TikTok's the perfect example of that. You can go on TikTok and have 2 followers and post a great video and get 1 million views. It doesn't matter. You can't do that on Twitter and other places as much because it's like you just have to get more followers, where I think content is going to be more king on social media and followers will matter less, which I think that's ultimately a good thing. But it's just going to be a different perspective for people to deal with.
Yeah. By the way, it's not only about TikTok. Everywhere, if
correct.
You,
they're all starting to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a lot of followers, but they disengage with your content, it's hard to win attention. But I agree. If you create high quality content, social media platforms wanna feed their users more to retain them. So if they retain longer, they earn more money. So simple.
Yeah. And we see the opposite too. I mean, over the last decade with Facebook, if you had 50,000 followers and you post bad content, Facebook doesn't show it to all of it. It only shows, so it goes both ways. I mean, you need good content whether you have followers or not. And so I like that. It's going to force better content for all of us, which should be a good thing. It's a matter of how much that becomes AI generated, people just churning out automatic stuff, which could get interesting. That's still, we got a couple more years, but it's getting close.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, we'll see. I think the future will be good, awesome, unpredictable a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
But at any way, I think it's better when you don't know what exactly will be because it's more interesting,
For sure.
Mickey, it's a big pleasure to get on my show, to learn from you. Tell our audience how they can reach out to you, learn more about you, follow you.
Sure, absolutely. So you can find me at MickMell, Mickey Mellen. So MickMel, MickMel.com is my website. I'm MickMell on all the social platforms. I'm MickMell at Gmail if you want to email me. And then our agency is greenmelonmedia.com. You can see more about what we do there.
Okay, guys, you can find the link to the website in the description below, to the 2 websites, to agency and your personal website. I also share your LinkedIn profile because
awesome.
I see you. Yeah, you post content there, active. So, guys, you need to follow Mickey on LinkedIn to learn more about his stuff. You can see a lot of valuable insights. Okay, guys, love you. See you.